Well, hey there, we're in the studio again with Corey, and today we're talking about admitting that you're wrong as a parent. Have you ever been wrong as a parent?
This is the one time you might get me to admit this, but no, yeah. I've obviously messed up a lot of times, right? I mean, I have 2 young kids. In many instances, it's the first time I'm dealing with things, right? And so there's lots of instances that I've made plenty of mistakes. I will tell you that the majority of my mistakes happen to be when I feel like I'm pressed for time and I'm running in a million different directions, and my kid does something that kind of just sparks a fuse, and I tend to raise my voice or make a sharp rebuke of that, and that I would say characterizes probably about 80% of my mistakes.
Yeah.
And
impatience, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Impatience,
I think
absolutely.
That's probably my thing too. I think with my kids, it happened when they were younger with impatience, and as they've gotten older, that you kind of let your guard down a little bit as a parent, and now they get to really see more of who you are. They get to, they're more perceptive. So then I think as your kids get older, you have to admit that you're wrong in different ways. It's not always in relationship to them. Like with my teenage boy, he's struggling with, bouncing his eyes, lustful thoughts. So now admitting you're wrong isn't just in relationship to him, it's helping him to know, hey, I still struggle with that too, not just I'm going to help you understand how to honor God in that area, right?
Absolutely.
So it changes as you grow. But here's a question for you, Corey, as couples are watching this, moms and dads, especially this is good for dads. Why is it important to admit that you're wrong as a parent?
So I think it's absolutely important to show your child that you make mistakes. If your child is always, son or daughter, is always getting disciplined by you, and you're always telling them, well, you did this or that wrong, and here's why, and so here's your discipline, you're going to be grounded for a day or 2 or a week or whatever, and that's always happening, then I think a child can get a wrong picture of who God is, as this correcting kind of, from God, from the sky, just kind of shaking his finger. But when you make a mistake as a parent, and then you understand the grace of God and how, you sin all the time, and so the grace of God covers you because of what Jesus did at the cross, then you can freely go to your kid and say, you know what, I was wrong. I should not have, in this situation, raised my voice or gotten impatient with you, or I wasn't fair, in terms of what you did wrong, and then the punishment that I gave you. Those 2 things were completely out of whack. I apologize. Can you forgive me for that? When your kid sees that you yourself make mistakes, and in relationship with you have a grace-filled relationship, I think that gives your child a very healthy perspective of what the relationship is with God. The idea that there is a standard of right and wrong, and you can do wrong, and that God has done all these things to forgive you. And if they see that from you as a dad especially, because dads tend to be, not always, but tend to be the discipline providers in their home, that can get, that they're looking at you and you're reflecting God to them. So if you are being too harsh with them, they're going to have a wrong picture of who God is, as somebody who judges right and wrong, but also is merciful and loving and provides a way to be forgiven.
And I think they could also get the wrong picture of you. They could get, this is what I notice, is they can get this picture that a Christian man or woman is perfect. So if you put on this fake veneer, because nobody's perfect.
No.
So if you sort of let on that you are perfect, then I think your kids will have, I've noticed this especially in legalistic homes, it's really sad to see Christian homes where the parents are good, solid Christians, follow all the rules. And I'm not saying it's wrong to follow all the rules and to be a God-honoring person.
Absolutely.
But I think you can do it in a way that makes you look like you're holier than thou. And then I think it's a standard that a kid feels like there's no way, because they know what they're thinking, they know what their heart is, and so they're struggling with all these sin thoughts and not just actions but thoughts, and they're like, I could never live up to my mom or dad and so they bail.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we hear that all the time, right? I've heard so many stories of people who have come back into church, especially at Alpine, where they say, the reason I walked away from the church or from God is because I saw my parents acting in one way in the home and then a different way outside.
Right.
And that two-faced nature of a higher standard on me, I'm just not going to deal with that. And so they walk away. And so I think that the takeaway there for parents is the idea that if you want your child to follow Jesus and to know God in a personal, real way, it seems completely contradictory, but you actually living out your personal relationship with Jesus and how grace-filled that is in front of your children and not appearing perfect, but actually showing how broken you are, I think actually makes better disciples of your children.
That's so good. Okay, one last question, Corey. For a parent who's watching this saying, oh man, I got some work to do because I've never done this, okay? Because you mentioned it earlier. So when you admit you're wrong, do you ask for their forgiveness?
Yes,
Yeah.
I absolutely do.
Okay.
I mean, and it's kind of us, right? When somebody comes to us and asks forgiveness, we certainly don't want to, right? We want to hold on to it.
Right.
So I think in your home is the best place to train how to forgive, right? Because you can see what happens in a home if you hold on to anger and bitterness, because you're with that person in your home every single day. So what better place than to train your children how, okay, I'm going to come and I'm going to ask for your forgiveness, and I'm going to be able to see, right, because I know my child, I'm going to be able to see in their face whether they actually can extend the forgiveness or not, or whether they're holding on to something. And then that becomes another teaching moment to have a conversation. Yeah, you don't really want to forgive me, do you?
That's
I
so
really
good.
hurt you, right? And so now you can have a conversation
Right.
more about healing relationships and all these kinds of things.
Right.
And I make it sound like it's very cerebral and intellectual, and I don't mean to make it that way. Look, just love and protect your child and have conversations with them, and God gave you your child because you're the right parent. So don't make it too hard.
Yeah.
You are the right parent for your child, so just have the conversations with them.
That's so good. Thank you, Corey. Again, use the questions below to talk about. This is such a powerful idea and concept to bring into your home. So parents or small groups, make sure to use those questions below. Talk about it so that you can integrate it into your life. Don't be afraid to admit that you're wrong. We'll see you in the next video.